there, everyone. Welcome back to Prime Wealth. We're so glad you're joining us today.
Absolutely. It's great to be here.
So today we're diving into a topic that many of you might find really inspiring: early retirement.
Right. We'll be sharing some real-life case studies of people who have successfully made that leap, which I think is really motivating.
Yeah, and it's not just about the numbers. We'll explore their stories, the challenges they faced, and the strategies they used to reach their retirement goal.
Exactly. It's about understanding what it takes to create a life you love, free from financial stress.
We'll also discuss key lessons learned from these individuals, some common pitfalls to avoid, and practical steps you can take to start planning for your own version of early retirement.
So whether you're just starting out on your journey or you've been saving for years, this episode will have something for you.
And remember, it's never too late to take control of your finances and make choices that align with your dreams.
Let's jump right into it and meet our first case study.
You know, Alex, I think it's really important to highlight why early retirement is such a hot topic for people over 40 right now. The stakes feel higher than ever, don't you think?
Absolutely, Jordan. I mean, if you look at the current economic landscape, rising inflation, fluctuating markets, it can be intimidating. People are feeling that pressure. It's not just about saving enough. It's about making those savings work harder for them.
Right, and many folks in their 40s are at a pivotal life stage. They might have kids in college or just starting to think about their own retirement. It's like a balancing act between current expenses and future security.
Exactly, and statistically, a lot of people underestimate how much they'll need in retirement. The general rule of thumb is 70% to 80% of your pre-retirement income, but that can vary widely depending on lifestyle, healthcare needs, and unexpected expenses.
And let's not forget about the emotional side of this journey. For many, money is tied to feelings of security and freedom. It can be stressful to think about whether you'll have enough for those later years, especially when there are so many uncertainties.
That's a great point. I've seen clients who've worked tirelessly, only to realize they're not on track for the retirement they envisioned. For instance, take Mark, a 45-year-old father of two. He was always diligent about saving, but when he hit 40, he started to worry that he wasn't saving enough.
What happened with Mark?
Well, he started diving into his finances more deeply. He realized he was spending a lot on his kids, extracurriculars, and not putting aside enough for his own retirement. It took some tough conversations, but he pivoted his spending habits and began contributing more to his retirement accounts.
So he found a way to balance family expenses with his own future needs?
Exactly. And it's not just Mark. I've seen this with many clients. They often realize they need to prioritize their retirement savings, even if it means making some sacrifices now. It's about finding that balance.
Speaking of sacrifices, have you noticed how the desire for early retirement is shifting? With the rise of remote work and the gig economy, people are exploring new ways to generate income while having more control over their time.
That's a game changer. Many folks are thinking, if I can work less and still earn enough, why not? I had a client, Lisa, who was in her late 40s and decided to start a side business selling handmade crafts. It turned into a nice revenue stream and gave her a sense of purpose beyond her day job.
Wow, that's inspiring. So the idea of early retirement isn't just about saving money. It's also about exploring passions and creating additional income sources.
Precisely. And with the current trends showing that traditional retirement isn't as accessible for many, people are realizing they might need to think outside the box. The average retirement age is creeping up, but those over 40 are trying to recapture some of that lost time.
It's true. And with the rising cost of living, especially in urban areas, having a financial cushion is more crucial than ever. I mean, think about healthcare costs. Those can escalate quickly as we age.
You're spot on. Healthcare can eat into retirement savings like nothing else. A recent study found that a couple retiring today will need around $300,000 just for medical expenses in retirement. That's a staggering number.
Yeah, and that statistic can be daunting. It's like a wake-up call for people over 40. They need to start planning now if they want to enjoy their golden years without financial stress.
I had another client, Tom, who was in a similar situation. He thought he'd have enough because he had a solid job. But when we crunched the numbers, we realized his healthcare costs could potentially wipe out a significant chunk of his savings.
So what did Tom do?
He started looking at different retirement plans that included health savings accounts, and he also began researching long-term care insurance. Those steps helped him feel more secure about his future, knowing he'd be better prepared for those unexpected expenses.
That's such a practical approach. It's all about being proactive rather than reactive.
Exactly. And I think that's a crucial mindset shift for people in their 40s. They need to start thinking about their retirement as a journey, not just a destination. And that means being flexible and adaptable to change.
And life changes too, right? People go through job transitions, divorce, or even caring for aging parents. All of these factors can impact their retirement plans.
Definitely. And that's why it's essential to regularly reassess your financial situation. I can't stress enough how important it is to revisit your financial goals every couple of years, especially when you hit those major life milestones.
So it sounds like the key takeaway here is that early retirement is not just a dream. It's an achievable goal if you start planning and adapting your strategy now.
Exactly. And it involves being realistic about what you need and being proactive in addressing it. So those are some immediate steps you can take. Now let's bring everything together.
So diving into those core strategies, I think a good place to start is understanding how to calculate your retirement number. You know, that magic figure that helps you figure out how much you need to save?
Absolutely, Jordan. It's really about understanding your annual expenses in retirement and then multiplying that by a certain number, typically 25. This is based on the 4% rule, which suggests that if you withdraw 4% of your retirement savings each year, your money can last for about 30 years.
Right. So let's say you estimate you'll need about $50,000 a year to live comfortably in retirement. You'd multiply that by 25, which gives you a total of what?
That would be $1.25 million. So the goal is to save up to that amount if you want to maintain that lifestyle.
And that's assuming a pretty conservative withdrawal rate, right?
Exactly. But it's important to factor in things like inflation and unexpected expenses. You know, maybe you'll need to adjust that number upwards as time goes on.
So let's break it down a bit more. How do people actually start saving toward that number?
A good first step is to create a budget. It sounds simple, but knowing where your money goes each month is crucial. You can identify areas to cut back and direct those savings toward retirement.
Yeah, and it can feel overwhelming, but starting small can make a big difference. Maybe just tracking your expenses for a month or two to get a sense of your habits.
Exactly. And once you have that awareness, you can set realistic savings goals. Aim to save at least 15% of your income annually. If you can't do that right away, start with what you can and gradually increase it.
And automating those savings can help too, right?
Absolutely. If you set up automatic transfers to your retirement accounts, you're less likely to miss that money. It's like paying yourself first.
I love that concept. It's such a simple way to make saving a habit.
Yeah, and then there's the power of compound interest. The earlier you start saving, the more your money can grow over time. Even small amounts can add up significantly.
Can you give us an example of that?
Sure. Let's say you start saving $500 a month at age 40, and you expect an average annual return of 7%. By the time you turn 65, you could have over $500,000. But if you wait just 5 years and start at 45, that amount drops significantly to around $350,000.
Wow, that really shows the impact of time on your investments.
It does. And speaking of investments, let's talk about asset allocation. It's crucial to have a diversified portfolio. You want a mix of stocks, bonds, and other investments that fit your risk tolerance and time horizon.
So, younger folks might lean more heavily into stocks since they have time to recover from market downturns?
Exactly. But as you approach retirement, you might want to gradually shift toward more stable investments, like bonds, to protect your savings from volatility.
And it's also about rebalancing, right? Making sure that your portfolio stays aligned with your goals as markets fluctuate.
Yes, regularly reviewing and rebalancing your portfolio is key to staying on track. It can help ensure you're not overly exposed to one type of investment.
What about tax advantage accounts? How do they fit into this picture?
Great point. Utilizing accounts like 401ks or IRAs can really boost your savings. They offer tax benefits that can help your money grow faster. If your employer offers a 401k match, take advantage of that. It's free money.
Definitely. And I think a lot of people overlook the power of health savings accounts, HSAs too. They can be a great tool for retirement planning.
Absolutely. HSAs are often underutilized. They offer triple tax advantages. Contributions are tax-deductible, the money grows tax-free, and withdrawals for qualified medical expenses are also tax-free.
It's like a 3-for-1 deal.
Exactly. And, medical expenses can be a significant part of retirement costs, so having that fund can really help.
Speaking of expenses, how can people prepare for the lifestyle changes that come with retirement?
That's a good question. It's important to think about what you want your day-to-day life to look like. Are you planning to travel? Pick up new hobbies? Those things can add up.
Right, and I think a lot of people don't factor in those lifestyle changes into their retirement planning, which can lead to surprise costs.
Yes, so creating a detailed retirement plan that includes your lifestyle choices is essential. Consider making a list of activities you want to pursue and estimate their costs.
And what about emergencies? It's smart to have a plan for unexpected expenses too, right?
Definitely. Establishing an emergency fund can help cushion any surprises. Aim for 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses set aside.
That sounds like a solid rule of thumb.
It is. And don't forget about the importance of staying informed and educated about your finances.
Yes. Financial literacy can empower you to make better decisions and adapt as your circumstances change.
And speaking of adapting, let's shift gears and talk about some common pitfalls people face on this journey to early retirement.
Great idea. It'll be helpful to highlight those missteps so listeners can avoid them. Alex, one thing that really stands out when we talk about early retirement is how often people overlook the smaller details in their planning.
Absolutely, Jordan. It's easy to get caught up in the big numbers, like how much you need to save or what your investments should look like. But those little details can make a huge difference.
Right, so what are some common pitfalls you see people falling into?
Well, one major mistake is underestimating healthcare costs. Many folks think Medicare will cover everything, but there are still significant out-of-pocket expenses, especially as you age.
That's so true. I've seen people plan for retirement and totally forget to factor in those potential medical bills.
Exactly. I had a client who retired at 62, thinking they'd be fine with their savings and Medicare. But just a couple of years in, they faced unexpected health issues, and their medical bills skyrocketed. It really put a strain on their finances.
Oh, wow, that must have been tough for them. It's like a wake-up call, isn't it?
Definitely. And another thing I've noticed is that people often fail to account for inflation. Just because you can live comfortably today doesn't mean you'll be able to do that in 20 years without adjusting your budget.
Yes. I think many people assume that their expenses will stay the same, but things change over time. Prices go up, and if your income doesn't keep pace, it can lead to some serious financial stress.
I recall one couple who retired, thinking their expenses would remain stable. They didn't consider how the cost of living would affect their lifestyle. A few years in, they found themselves cutting back drastically on things they enjoyed because their money just wasn't stretching as far as they thought.
That's such a relatable scenario. So what's a good way for people to recognize these signs before they actually hit those bumps in the road?
I always suggest running various scenarios using a retirement calculator. Play around with different rates of return, inflation rates, and healthcare costs. This can help you visualize potential future expenses and adjust your savings plan accordingly.
That's a great tip. It's all about being proactive instead of reactive.
Exactly. And another common pitfall I see is not having a clear plan for the withdrawal phase. People often focus on accumulating wealth, but they don't think about how to draw it down wisely.
That's so crucial. I've heard of people just taking money out whenever they need it without considering the long-term implications.
Yes, and that can really hurt their portfolio. For instance, if someone withdraws too much in the early years of retirement, they might find themselves running out of money much faster than they anticipated.
I can see how that could happen. It's like digging a hole without realizing how deep you're going.
Exactly. and it's important to have a strategy in place. For example, using the 4% rule can be a good starting point, but it's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Right. What works for one person might not work for another. Everyone's situation is so unique.
Precisely. And then there's the psychological aspect of retirement. Many people struggle with the transition from working to not working. They might not prepare mentally for the lifestyle changes that come with retirement.
That's a significant point. I think a lot of people underestimate how important it is to have a plan for how to spend their time.
Yes, and I've seen clients who thought they would fill their time with hobbies or travel, but once they retired, they felt lost without the structure of work. It can lead to feelings of boredom or even depression.
That's really important to address. So, how can people better prepare for this transition?
I recommend finding ways to engage with your community or explore new interests before retirement. Volunteering, taking classes, or even part-time work can help ease that transition and provide a sense of purpose.
Those are great ideas. It's like building a bridge to the next phase of life, instead of just jumping off a cliff.
Exactly. And lastly, I think it's important to revisit your financial plan regularly. Life changes, and so do your needs. If you're not adjusting your strategy, you might miss crucial signs that something needs to change.
That makes so much sense. It's like maintaining a car. You wouldn't just drive it forever without checking the oil or tires, right?
Exactly, Jordan. Regular checkups can help you catch any potential issues before they become major problems.
So if someone has already made some of these mistakes, what can they do to recover or adjust?
The first step is to get a clear picture of your current financial situation. Assess your income, expenses, and savings. From there, you can identify areas where you might need to cut back or adjust your spending.
That sounds really practical.
And don't hesitate to seek professional advice. Sometimes, just talking to a financial advisor can help you see things from a different perspective and create a more tailored plan.
That's such a good point. It's never too late to correct course.
Absolutely. And remember, it's about making small adjustments over time rather than trying to fix everything at once. The key is to stay flexible and be willing to adapt as life changes.
So, those are some immediate steps you can take. Now let's bring everything together. So now that we've explored those case studies, let's dive into some immediate actions our listeners can take to start their own journey toward early retirement.
Absolutely, Jordan. It's all about taking those first steps, right? One of the most powerful things you can do is to create a clear vision of your retirement lifestyle.
Yeah, I love that idea. Visualizing what you want your life to look like can really motivate you. So how do you suggest people start that process?
Well, I'd recommend sitting down with a pen and paper, or even using a digital tool. Think about what activities you want to pursue in retirement, where you might want to live, and how much you think you'll need to sustain that lifestyle.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like setting a destination before you start driving, right?
Exactly. Once you have that vision, the next step is to assess your current financial situation. This means taking a good look at your income, expenses, and savings.
Right, so a budget review is essential here. What tools or apps do you think could help with that?
There are quite a few out there. Apps like Mint or YNAB, You Need a Budget, can be really helpful for tracking expenses and income. They give you a clear picture of where your money is going.
I've heard good things about YNAB. It's all about giving every dollar a job, right?
Exactly. That mindset can really help you prioritize your spending and savings. Once you have that overview, you can identify areas where you can cut back.
And those cuts can go straight into your retirement fund. What about saving strategies?
One effective strategy is to automate your savings. Set up automatic transfers from your checking account to a retirement account or a high-yield savings account, so you're consistently putting away money without having to think about it.
That sounds so simple yet powerful. It's like paying yourself first.
Exactly. And if you can, try to increase your contributions gradually. Maybe start with a small percentage and increase it every few months.
That's a great tip. It feels less daunting that way, doesn't it?
It really does. Another actionable step is to educate yourself about investment options. Books like The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins or Your Money or Your Life by Vicki Robin can provide valuable insights.
Those are classics, and they really help shift your mindset about money and investing.
Right. Also, consider joining local or online financial communities. Forums like the Bogleheads or Reddit's personal finance subreddit can provide support and advice from people who are on similar paths.
Community support can be so motivating. What about building good financial habits?
Great question. Start small, like tracking your expenses for a month. Just being aware of your spending patterns can lead to significant changes.
And even changing small habits can have a big impact over time.
Exactly. Also, consider a weekly money date. Set aside time each week to review your finances, discuss your goals, and adjust your budget as needed.
A money date sounds fun. It's a nice way to make financial discussions feel less stressful.
Totally, and it can help you stay accountable, especially if you're doing it with a partner or a friend.
Speaking of accountability, what about setting specific financial goals?
Yes, setting SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, can help keep you focused. For example, instead of saying, I want to save more, you could say, I want to save $500 per month for the next year.
That's such a clear goal. It's easier to track your progress that way.
It really is. And don't forget to celebrate small wins along the way.
Yes, celebrating milestones can really boost your motivation.
Right. Also, consider looking into tax-advantaged accounts like IRAs or 401ks if you haven't already. These can significantly impact your savings growth over time.
Definitely. And if your employer offers a match, it's like free money.
Exactly! Make sure to take full advantage of that. And if you're self-employed, think about setting up a SEP IRA or a solo 401k.
A lot of options out there. What about those who might feel overwhelmed by all this information?
It's normal to feel that way. Start with just 1 or 2 actions at a time. You don't have to do everything at once.
Right, small steps can lead to big changes.
And remember, consistency is key. Even if you're only saving a little, doing it regularly can have a huge impact over the long run.
That's such a reassuring message. It's about building momentum, right?
Exactly. And as you start to see progress, it'll motivate you to keep going.
So those are some immediate steps you can take. Now let's bring everything together. All right, so as we wrap up our exploration of those early retirement case studies, it's clear there are some key takeaways that really stand out.
Absolutely. First off, having a solid plan is crucial. You know, it's not just about saving a chunk of money, but really mapping out your expenses and lifestyle needs.
Right. And another big one is the importance of flexibility. Things can change, and being adaptable with your investments and plans can really make a difference.
And don't forget about diversifying your income streams. Relying solely on one source can be risky. Exploring side hustles or passive income options can really bolster your financial security.
Exactly. And finally, start early. Even if you think it's too late, every small step you take now can have a huge impact on your future.
Well said. It's all about those consistent, manageable steps towards your goals. Remember, financial freedom is a journey, not a sprint.
Yes, and we hope you feel inspired to take action on your own financial journey. If you found value in today's episode, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel.
And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your experiences or any questions you might have.
Plus, if you know someone who's over 40 and looking for practical advice, share this episode with them.
And next time, we'll dive into a topic that's gaining a lot of interest: crypto portfolio building safely.
It's going to be an exciting discussion, so be sure to tune in for that.
Until then, take those small steps, stay curious, and keep striving for your financial freedom.
Thanks for joining us today.